Hey folks, this is Pendragon, back again to discuss the newest game from Gunfire Games, Remnant 2. This is the continuation of the 2019 sleeper hit, Remnant from the Ashes, and the lesser-known Chronos from the Ashes. There are some mild spoilers up ahead. I've done my best to keep it to a bare minimum, but please be aware going in. This game picks up with the evil Root making a return to take over the multiverse. That's pretty much the whole story. I'm getting really sick of hearing the word multiverse. Is it just me? I'm starting off a little negative here, but in a game full of interesting lore and mini stories, I can't help but feel deflated that somehow Palpatine Returned can summarize the whole story. Now that's in contrast to the lore. Every dungeon is full of life and the absence of. Every corpse tells a story, every book is interesting. I found a recipe book in a dungeon that was full of macabre shit reminiscent of something out of Pan's Labyrinth, complete with a feast of reeking meat and a gluttonous monster beckoning the player in. I don't want to spoil anything crazy, but there's another dungeon where a whole species has slowly faded away, all under this hauntingly present mythology of their gods fighting, a great wolf and a doe, quarreling over the ages past. What was once great cities are now buried or rotting, while vines consume what's left. It's up to the player to discover the secrets that remain hidden within. These are the kinds of compelling stories that Gunfire Games are capable of, so I really can't figure out why they chose Somehow Palpatine Returned as their overarching narrative. The mechanics in Remnant 2 have changed drastically from Remnant 1. Many systems have been tuned, including different types of relics that change the way a character can heal, even potentially foregoing their healing to strengthen other aspects of their build. In addition, relic fragments are a new type of loot that can add bonuses to your relic itself. Unfortunately, armor set bonuses are gone, and the rarity of new armor was a disappointment. There are potentially 1 to 2 armor sets per planet, and most are attached to a respective archetype. Speaking of which, this archetype system is a way the developers have allowed the character to fill different niches in a party. This is a breath of fresh air in the third-person shooter market, allowing the character to be the healer, or the warrior, or the sniper. It felt reminiscent to me of old-school SRPGs somehow. Stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, and it was a system that I loved. However, many of these archetypes are hidden behind puzzles, many of which you would not find without help from the internet. Seriously, one of them's hidden in the code of the game. Another was hidden outside of the boundary of a map, and you can just barely grab it before your character dies a tragic, coughing death. Most of these systems are so much fun and so unexpected in a third-person shooter. My favorite was Summoner, which allows you to summon creatures of the Root to fight alongside of you. In addition to these archetypes, the rings and amulets in this game are common. They can change the efficacy of your build significantly. Consider, for instance, a ring that gives summons lifesteal, or a ring that can change fat roll to a normal roll. They can be game-changing. However, often these archetypes felt half-assed. I would go into a boss fight arena, and my summons would consistently get stuck behind the fog wall. This was an issue that I had over and over again, often resulting in me feeling like Summoner wasn't really a viable archetype. If you consider my whole build was built around these summons, I'm talking an amulet, rings, all of these things served only to support my summons. Yet when I needed my summons, they were not there. This resulted in runs that I died while trying to dismiss and re-summon my minions. This was way more common than it should have been. And having just recently beat Demon Souls on PS5, that From Software polish just felt missing. The dodge rolls in this game feel slim. And while I am the first to admit that I do suck at Souls-like games, it feels bad getting hit with things that should have missed as I was rolling. There may be a potential issue with hitboxes, or maybe dodge iframes. I did eventually find a trait that increased evade distance, and while I can't really find a good definition of exactly what evade distance means, gameplay-wise, that seems to fix the issue. With that evade distance at max, the game feels significantly better, and that trait should not have been hidden behind some obscure puzzle somewhere. And that brings us to traits, another thing that are hidden behind puzzles throughout the game. You won't find them all in your first playthrough. I don't think you'll find them in your second playthrough either. Someone at Gunfire Games saw the puzzles in Zelda and said, you know what, let's do that, but in every corner. There are times when I think, damn, that was a great puzzle and a significant reward, but more often than not, I accidentally solve puzzles. Or worse, I look for hours and end up having to look them up online because the solutions are so obscure. As far as bosses go, some feel as polished as the best that From Software offers, while others feel like shit. And this whole idea just keeps coming up. There's a sort of inconsistency in Remnant 2 that feels bad. Some of these bosses have incredible arenas that feel like something out of Sanderson's Cosmere, while others are disappointment. I fought one particular boss that slowly drifted at the very edge of the map. A normal map. It was this giant moth that just stayed as far away from me as it possibly could. And the only reason that I knew it was even a boss fight was the boss health bar at the top of the screen. My guns could barely hit it. It was so far away. In conclusion, Remnant 2 was a brilliant experience, and I would love to see them tighten some of their systems in the inevitable DLC that's already being advertised on their Steam page. And for those who love dress up in their games like me, we need more armor sets. The archetypes are a lot of fun, but they could really use some work. And maybe, most of all, bring the incredible world building to the overarching story of the series. Now, there are some interesting theories I've read comparing the root to malware in this bigger system. And while that's exciting, it also kind of scares me a little because that may mean that this game serves as sort of a reboot to the system, or to the franchise as a whole. We'll have to see what they do with this franchise moving forward, hopefully in the DLCs. This game is available on Steam for $49.99. That's the standard edition. There's also a deluxe and an ultimate edition. The deluxe is $59.99. It includes 3 armor sets from the first game. And then the ultimate edition is $69.99. And it comes with some other goodies, including the future DLC packs. Go check it out, and thanks for watching. See ya.